Right then, new Trade Legends podcast, 2 new guests. Before we get into it, as we've been saying recently with the podcast, is if you watch on YouTube, give us a subscribe, hit the like button, drop a comment in the comments below. If you're listening on Spotify, give us a follow on Spotify, and just basically spread the word about the Trade Legends podcast. This year we're going next level. We're going to bring some really big things in. So that would be really good. Get subscribed, hit the button, comment below, all that. Anyway, more important things, 2 new guests. We've got Tom and Martyn in tonight. So we've got Tom from, where are we? Where's my notes? Tom from TCM Air Conditioning and Martyn from Champion Sealant Services. Now, I know I've met you a few times now, Tom. I've met you quite a bit, Martyn. And when I invited you two on the podcast, I set up an Instagram chat group and was like, right, boys, what you up to on this day? But we named it Fake Trades because Martyn thinks a mastic man is a fake trade, don't you? You're sort of like, look, I'm stealing a living, ain't I?
Yeah.
Basically.
I'm like Santa Claus. I don't appear down your chimney, seal your bath and leave. But yeah.
But yeah, you think you're stealing a living being a mastic man. Now, if you're in the trades, especially what I do, plumbing, bathrooms and stuff, we know what goes into sealing bathrooms up, silicon in and stuff like that. And in the chat, obviously, with you, Tom, air conditioning, that's a legit trade.
Mm-hmm. It is.
No offence, Martyn.
No
that's
offence.
a legit trade.
Yeah.
But just for the banter in the group, was having the crack and invited you two on, and you two were buzzing for it. Really buzzing. I know a bit about your backstory. So it's going to be an interesting one, I think. We're going to have a bit of a laugh.
Yeah.
So we're going to start off with you, Martyn, with your fake trade.
Okay.
You're a mastic man.
Yep.
Talk us through how you get into being a mastic man, because when I came here today, I was explaining to Jack what you do, and he's basically, well, you do that when you put a bathroom in.
Oh, everyone can do it.
Everyone can do it. It's doing it properly, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
So build up what a mastic man does for us, and then briefly tell us how you got into it, because it's not a sort of a career, it's plumbing, electrician, carpenter. There isn't a little section that says mastic man. No, what is it you call yourself?
Sealant applicator.
Sealant applicator. Love it.
I think it's that whole thing of like when your parents are like, well, if you don't listen in school, you're not going to get a very good job. And that's, you become a sealant applicator. So yeah, I finished out of a job previous. A job opened up with a friend of mine, and he's just like, "Look, I work for a company. They just do."
What did you do before doing this?
I was an engineer for a printing company,
was you?
installing printers and decommissioning printers like all over the country.
Boring. Then.
Yeah, they offered a redundancy. I took the redundancy. Had 6 months just traveling around doing my own thing.
Yeah.
And then I needed a job, and a friend's like, "Oh, this company's got a spot opened up. Do you want to come in?" Went in, had an interview.
Did you know what that job was?
I kind of knew a little bit about it because I knew him, and he'd been there for, I think, 2 or 3 years previous, and he'd worked for other companies doing the same thing. And I just kind of was like, yeah, let's see what happens. So they paired me up with a lad. He just gave me training on site. Done 6 months training, and then pretty much they just set you free, give you a van, all your tools.
So how did you start your training being a mastic man? Is it just a case of, because everyone can have a go at it, everyone has done it, DIY Dave on a Sunday afternoons.
Yeah.
Gone to Screwfix, got a tube of cheap
Keith down
silicone.
the pub with his meat spanner in the back of the
That's it,
basin.
And they've squirted it around the back of the basin, spat on their finger, fingered it in.
And like, if you're happy, like that looks great from my house, but no, I think when every trade goes in and does their piece on a building site, again, site work's a lot different, but when people go in and they do their bit, the window fitters go in, they can do a whole house in a couple of hours, maybe, if you get all the windows in. They don't want to be there for another half a day just trying to silicone it up or get a good finish on it. And I know a lot of trades as well, or a lot of applicators or mastic men or people that do it, they scrape a lot of the material off.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you think that in a big scale, if you do a house and you're scraping every window, you're going to be wasting loads of material. So you have to know how to put it on properly.
I do. Whenever I do it, I'll put a load in, use the old tool, and there's loads of wastage.
But obviously, if you can do it with like sticks or tools and pretty much just gun it to what we call gun it to a finish, and then you've only got a tool and the imperfections out of it, you can do a full house internally and externally in 3 hours, 4 hours, depending on the size of the house, where a window fitter would probably be there doing an external for a whole day. So it's just knowing your products, how to do it, how to work with it.
But you learnt it off the guy then.
Literally just...
Was you sort of like straight in at the deep end then? Right, crack on. This is how you do it.
You start off like when they build a house, they do a pre-plaster. So when the windows go in, it's bare brick. You just have to seal the formers just for when the air test is later on down the line. And they just kind of give you a gun and say, just cut a nozzle, and like you spend some time cutting sticks, maybe cutting your nozzles correctly, knowing how to put it in the gun. And then, just doing all the stuff that nobody's really going to see.
Yeah.
Then you do a little bit of inside work. Because again, you can spray it, you can scrape it. And then from there, when you start getting a little bit better, you go outside. But the geezer that trained me always stuck me upstairs on the ladder because no one's really looking at the first floor windows, are they? So
only the air conditioning guy.
Only the air conditioning guy. So that's kind of like where that started. And then you just learnt from there, really. And then it depends what you want out of it, whether you... I push myself. I want to go into everything and just learn everything. Because
it is one of them trades where people... I don't want to play it down because I know what goes into it. But people will look, when I explained it to Jack when we was talking about it before filming, Jack was like, well, you do that. Everyone can have a go at it. And I went, it's doing it and it's doing it properly. And so you explained that triangle thing that you was going. So obviously round a bath, you've got your silicone round a bath. 9 times out of 10, I get the calls where someone will go, I've got a load of mouldy silicone round the bath. That's the typical one, isn't it?
Standard.
So talk us through that then from a silicone applicator.
So like as a super basic, break it down. If you use your finger or a trim tool that's got a slight curve to it, there's no material being left there. You're pretty much scraping all of the material out and just only filling the gap. Where if you lay a bead, which is what we call a fillet, which is pretty much just a triangle at any size, 10 mil down the wall or 10 mil down the tile, 10 mil across the bath, 10 mil back up, you've got 10 mil of material as a solid bead pushing on every angle. So if your bath's moving or... it's never going to tear away. Yeah. It will last as long as it lasts.
Whereas if you put it in with your finger, it's got that curve.
And you've got that it's like 1 mil down to about 5 mil, then back to 1 mil again. That's just super thin, so it always tears off. And it's always, you see like when people are using products and they spray like sealant dissolvers and stuff on, because there's no material there, it gets rid of it so quick because there's nothing to really break down.
Yeah, just get straight under it.
Yeah, and then when you're doing a window, you tool a window the same. It's got to be... window fitters just fill the gap between your window and your brickwork in brown normally or some horrible colour. Where if you seal to the frame and seal to the brickwork, it's never going to tear. You've got enough material going into the frame. You use a backing rod as well, which helps move. That's just kind of like, if you're applying it properly, you're not scraping the material out, it's going to last. And then we can... again, everyone can do a bit of silicone, but can you lay 100, 200, 300, 400 meters in a day and not really waste any material? Yeah. That's kind of where we shine a little bit over the DIY in, where you've spent a few quid on a cheap silicone or even an expensive silicone, but you've scraped a lot of it off. I think it's just knowing about the products, how you can put it on, what you can do with it.
So where was the transition then, working with that bloke? Where you must have got, you was with him for 6 years. You got to the point where you're going, right, I want to go on my own. How do you go about getting working, being a mastic man? Being a plumber, it sort of comes in because it's one of them trades that everyone knows about. Whereas I reckon if you went to the average, person in the street and went, would you get a bloke in? Who would you ring to reseal your bath?
Yeah, it's normally like a handyman or a plumber or a plumber. Maybe a tiler.
So how do you go about marketing being a mastic man, being a silicone applicator?
If you want to go from working for a firm to working on your own, you just tackle every site. And sites
so was it mainly site work that you did?
I did a year of site work when I partnered with somebody, which is another story. And then...
So is that a case of going to a site, canvass it and just going, look, give us 10 plots...
Yeah, pretty much.
These are the price.
You put a price in, they send you a tender out, you have a little bash. 9 times out of 10, if you're a sole trader and you're doing site work, you're a lot pricier than a big company. The firm that I used to work for had 24 lads on the kit at the time, doing every site that you can ever think of. That's great if you want to do that. Then it got to the point that I was like, maybe I just need to do my own thing. TikTok and Instagram and whatever else to help people know the stuff that I did. So I literally made a company name, bought a ton of business cards, Spoke to a guy down south that's like been super helpful with it. He just does like real big bespoke jobs, like absolutely stunning properties that he works on. And I just flooded my local area.
Did you?
Every tiling shop, every window shop,
Okay, so that's your
shops.
in. That's your in. Your tiling shops.
If somebody parked a van up in a car park and it had like a tiler or handyman or window fitter
was
on,
there.
I was wanging business cards under their window wipers.
Okay, because I was trying to think of how you would market being a mastic man. Where your in would be, and you've done it.
I took over Facebook.
Right, okay.
I joined all my local Facebook pages. So like literally in a 10, 15 mile radius of my house, I joined it because they're always on there for a natter, aren't they?
Yeah,
like a Karen jumps on moaning about somebody walking their dog.
Yeah.
So I joined all of those Facebook pages.
It's a bit rich, isn't it?
Glass houses and all that.
I joined all of those and then just put up, back to that mouldy bathroom,
Yeah.
I put up a photo of a mouldy bathroom and then lovely clean silicone in it and was like,
It's that visual thing, isn't it?
This
As
is doing
soon
it
as
properly.
someone sees a visual...
So I'd go down, I'd get a message on Facebook, oh, can you come do it? And I'd just kind of put a bit of a blanket price out just to make it work. And I'd go and do a cut and reseal of a bathroom, hour, bit of money. I'm like, that's fine, I can tuck a couple of them in through the day. And she'd tell her friend at bingo, or she'd a sister-in-law or a mum or somebody else, like, oh, my daughter's just bought a house or whatever it might have been.
Yeah.
And within the first couple of weeks of me starting out on my own, I penciled a month and a half out of my diary just from Facebook cut and resale bathrooms.
But that's a case of volume, and it pushing it out. Yes, you're not going to earn the money you want to be earning, but it's getting that out there, getting that out into your local area and letting them know. And that visual, everybody has got black mouldy silicone somewhere in their house.
That was like the biggest cut and reseal of like shower trays and baths. And people,
So
even in new builds, from like new to old houses, people were just like, oh, my bath's a bit mouldy. Can you sort that out? No problems at all. But then off of that, there was more work to be had. I needed money. So I was like, right, how else can I like upsell myself a little bit? Oh, there's some grout crack in there. Oh, your grout's a little bit dirty. I can tidy up the grout.
So you started doing a little bit of that.
Just again to keep the money there.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be lovely. And then they walk in and they're like,
Extras.
oh, my bathroom looks stunning. Oh, no problems at all. Make sure you tell your friends down at bingo.
Yeah.
And then that's literally where it started. And then obviously Instagram and Facebook and whatever else, those platforms, people seeing the work that I was putting out. And although some of it was site work based, they seen the bad befores, but then they seen the finishing product. I was getting messages being like, oh, can you come and do my house? Or contracts managers, directors from even these big companies, rather than having their own mastic firm that they have doing their site stuff, they'd reach out to me and be like, oh, can you come do a bathroom for me?
Yeah.
And I just tried to
It's that
steer it
little
away
in,
from,
innit?
yeah, I just tried to steer away from the site stuff and just go down the more bespoke stuff. But the more I posted the bespoke work and the nice bathrooms and the stunning kitchens and the big externals that I was doing, all the patios, that attracted that level of work for me.
Yeah.
Because people seen that big house and were like, oh, if they're having him, oh, maybe I need him.
See, that's interesting. And hold that thought, because I'm going to go to Tom now, because that's going to lead in with the social side of stuff. So, Tom, air conditioning engineer. What was it as well? You said air conditioning, refrigeration.
Yeah.
Just
or
keep it
or
there.
HVAC.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the most common term.
Yeah. So how did you get into that? Was that because I always think with the air conditioning side of stuff, it's quite a niche thing. And I always wonder how people get into it. Are they, you're going to fucking hate me for this one, are they failed plumbers or are they just complete... do you want to go in...
I would say they're elite plumbers.
Okay, yeah. Are they... Did you go out looking specifically to start in air conditioning, or was there a lead into
No,
it?
there was a lead into it. So my mum was a recruitment agent, and she basically said, like, I was in college and I was doing art design, fashion photography.
Right.
And she said, I didn't want to do that no
Random.
more. I know, right? I didn't want to do it anymore. She was just like, look, you've either got to do college, go to work, or basically get out. So she got me a lead on a labouring job with an air conditioning firm.
Right.
And then it all just went from there, really. It's just sort of took that opportunity.
So you ducked straight out of, was it uni?
Yeah.
Straight out of uni.
Well, it's out of college, not uni.
Out of college.
Yeah.
Doing that, and then what, you just picked up along the way and was like, I want to get into this.
Yeah, mate, at the start, so I was running up and downstairs with all these tools and bottles. And
Yeah, because all your gear's always up the top
it's
of
always up
buildings.
on the
isn't it?
roof. If you're doing any sort of commissioning work, it's always on the roof. So 16-year-old me, I'm tiny
Yeah.
and trying to carry all this stuff. And I went to jack it in, but the guy was just sort of like testing me out. He was like trying to see how I could break
Grinding, getting to that point of you
he was
jacking
like, how
in.
far can I push him till he breaks?
Yeah.
And it took a week, but but he carried on from
so
there.
then he must have seen something in you to push you to that point, and then to go, right, you've done your graft here.
Mm-hmm.
Then how long was you with him for?
So I was with him, that was the first company. So I was with him for 2 years, got made redundant at the end of my apprenticeship. So the funny thing was that I went from like an apprentice role and I had to go straight and get a job as an engineer.
Right.
Because I wasn't an apprentice, I was past the improver stage.
He's in that sort of...
I was in that middle bit.
That middle ground.
I'd never had a company van, I'd never had company tools.
Had you been out on your own at this point?
Yeah, on like sort of service jobs and breakdowns and things like that, but never taking on like big, doing big jobs or anything. But I got another job with a basically like a service firm, and they did like a few installs here and there, but it was mostly service work. But going back to the apprenticeship, it was only install, so I'd never done service work. So it was so intimidating going out there.
So they've took you on as a service engineer.
Yeah.
And you're like, I've done a few.
Mate, I got the first jobs in and I was like, mate, I didn't even know what part of London it was. It was sort of, I was so fresh because I'd never had a company van, never drove anywhere.
Didn't know where to park.
Didn't know where to park.
I mean, I always say it, how the lads in any trade, you boys, plumbers, electricians, work in London blows my mind.
No.
See, so I've always lived in sort of like the sort of suburbs of South London. And then when I met my wife, I moved out to sort of like West Sussex.
Yeah.
But I'm always there. It doesn't matter. I can't get away from it.
Can you not? It just keeps pulling you back in, mate.
Every job I go to.
I suppose it's because the sheer volume of buildings and offices and stuff in London is, prime location for aircon.
And obviously the ventilation side as well is a big thing.
Yeah.
And then it was just that sort of thing where I would not try and get out of it, but like people will say like, I don't know how you work there. I don't know how you work in London, but I've done it since I was 16.
Yeah.
So like it doesn't make any
Imagine
difference.
him in the middle of like the country, like,
mate, I said to him today.
He drove to mine today and he's
I
like,
can imagine.
it's so quiet around here, isn't it? I can hear the birds.
Yeah.
There's no pollution. I'm like,
Mate, I was like, what? I can't remember what I said, but I was like, mate, it took me 5 miles, took me 7 minutes, and I was like, it blew my mind.
Yeah, this is the other way for me. Blows my mind when I see some of the lads down in London, some of the plumbers like Chigs or whatever, who go, we've got to get 4 mile, 5 mile,
45 minutes.
Oh mate, I'll be like
crazy.
And that's why you get a lot of people in our game is, why don't you keep the stock on the van? Lads in London, you probably know you have to keep everything on your van because that parking is prime real estate, isn't it? Whereas me, if I ain't got it on the van, I can drive 5 mile down the road to Plumbers. It takes me 10 minutes.
just nip and get it and come back again.
It's a completely different way of working.
But the difference between the air conditioning and let's say like the plumbing side, for example, is that I can't just go up and pick up a valve, or I can't just go up and pick like an isolation valve up. It's got to be specific to that model, that unit, that manufacturer. So it's so difficult. If something goes down, like a sensor, you can't go out to a wholesaler and buy that because it's
Is it all ordered in?
Yeah, pretty much.
So do you run much stock then?
Not a lot of stock, as in condensate pumps, sort of consumables,
stuff,
things like that. But any sort of compressors, mate, there is so many out there.
Yeah.
You can't keep them on there. Unless you're like in the refrigeration side, which is like small fridges, freezers, things like that. You can sort of chop and change them a little bit, but specifically for air conditioning, you have to have like that model, that make, that year, sort of thing.
So what was that transition then, working with that guy to working for yourself?
So
what sort of time frame have you? How long have you been working on your own?
So I've been working on my own 5 years, but the first year I wasn't really trading.
Right. Okay.
So I'd say this is my fourth full-on year. But the transition to that was I got an opportunity to work with someone, kind of fell through, didn't work out due to like whatever reason, and then started on my own from there. And that was, 4 years ago.
And how long had you been with the guy before then?
So the guy before, I was with that when I qualified for the when I qualified, and then went on to that firm. I went on to a firm after that, which was a facilities management company.
Okay.
So they was doing like, AHUs and swimming pools and like loads of leisure stuff, big commercial stuff. So, I
So you cut your teeth properly with that,
I got well involved, yeah. Like it was pretty daunting for me coming from an air conditioning background to going into mechanical. It was quite a big change. And then I was with them for 7 years, and then.
So by the time that 7 year, you was massively
I was
confident enough to go.
Yeah, pretty competent with in regards to the trade. Maybe not so much the paperwork side because I was an employee. But
but that, I mean, people say to me, how did you learn how to do your books and this? You just do, don't you?
Mate, you learn
you
on the
make
way.
it. Well, it's just probably the same with you. How do you work out meterage? How do you price jobs? And you just sort of go. The first few you might go wrong and you might lose a few quid, but you'll never do that again.
Don't make that mistake twice.
No,
really, do you?
but it was that thing of like, I'd never sent an invoice before. I'd never done a quote. I don't know how much things cost.
Yeah.
Mate, it was such a minefield.
Margins and all that sort of stuff.
Mate, just even down to like fuel expenses, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
So you went on your own then after 7 years with that previous guy. How did you go about marketing yourself then from the start?
To be honest, I've never really marketed myself in a way of like advertising. So I got like a basic website to start with, and then got your sort of typical like business cards, all that stuff. You know, going around local businesses and stuff. Funny enough, the first job I ever had was from one of those business cards, which was quite funny. Yeah, it's a bit old school, but I mean, it worked.
Yeah.
And then from there on is that like I didn't really do like the social media thing that much. It was just like because I had no work, I had nothing to post.
Yeah, no content to make. Yeah.
So I was like,
so how do you generate that in then?
So basically, like I ended up with a lead on like a facilities management company. It was the same company that I was working for, and they was just like subbing out stuff to me.
Perfect.
So then, I was going to do my stuff for them, and then because they're like, "Oh, mate, we just give us a price, and then it's yours." So like I was pricing it as normal.
Yeah.
Going to do that, and then I was sort of building my stuff up from there. But even with like my jobs in between and stuff, like I say private, it was all private, but the jobs that weren't from them.
Yeah.
Just doing stuff with that as well.
Do you get much private, like smaller stuff?
It's got
like
well popular domestically. It's got
Has
popular now. Yeah, like way more than it was like 6 or 7 years
ago. It's become a thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Air conditioning.
I think it's from COVID. It was just sort of like people working from home, and they wanted to be comfortable. Garden rooms.
So you was just pre-COVID then, weren't you?
Mm-hmm. Started it up literally the year of.
How did that go?
Mate, it was like difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I started, I had a thing with my van as well, so I got sort of like a second.
Hang on, the thing with your van that hasn't got air conditioning.
Right, no, that's that van. The irony.
We'll get on to that. Yeah, so Tom got a van without aircon.
I went to a garage and I bought a van. Mate, it was fine. When I drove it, test drove it, it was fine. Bought it out, and then 2 days later, it was playing up, like going into limp mode and all this stuff. I hadn't even been out yet.
Oh, it's got to have been a Volkswagen.
It was a Varo. No, traffic. Traffic.
Right. Limp mode.
Yeah, it was like going into like, mate, it would only do like 40 mile an hour. And I rang the guy up and I was just like, oh, mate, like, I'm having a nightmare with this van. Can I bring it back for you to have a look at it? And he's like, no, I bought, like, kind of bought it how you saw it kind of thing. And I was like, mate, like I've just spent all my savings on this, and I was like, mate, like I'm gonna need to do something about it. And he was like, speak to my legal team straight away.
Was he a trader? Proper?
Yeah, it was garage.
Yeah, so you've got your whatever it is, your 30-day consumer rights and all that, ain't you?
And he was like, speak to my legal team. So there's my now wife, like she was going through solicitors, like, and we didn't have money for a solicitor, so she's trying to fight it out, and we ended up having to lose it. So
really?
straight off the bat, I was like...
He was down straight away?
Minus, yeah.
And then COVID kicks in.
And then COVID kicks in, and I'm like, mate, this is like the worst start ever. You couldn't write it, mate.
But you got through it?
Got through it, yeah.
Was it...
Tough?
I was going to say, was it tough? It's going to be tough.
Oh, yeah.
So how did you get through that then? Was it just...
Mate, just picking up stuff where I can, like, subby work or, going around servicing and, like, especially, like, with my previous company, like, they was... doing like letting me sub out to them a little bit, so they was giving me service work and things like that. So like little bits I could go and do.
And then coming out of COVID, obviously it's picked up. Then it's flying
it started
now.
Picking up. Yeah, it started picking. It's still like,
So where's the majority of your work then? Is it in the city?
Yeah, pretty much. So like I would say inside the ULEZ zone is probably the 90%. Yeah, I haven't really cracked the local market yet, but give it time.
Would you prefer to do that? Putting little, I suppose, compared to what you do, on your social medias, you're lugging massive units upstairs and stuff like that. And we was just, because, now that you, obviously, where we film the Trade Legends podcast in the old Unilight building, or still the Unilight building, but since Al sold it out, it's been taken over by a company called Aspen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're an ambassador for Aspen, or an affiliation of Aspen.
Affiliation, yeah. So,
So you've got a little bit of an in with the company now where we're sat in their building. But Aspen, I suppose, are massively, would you say, the leaders of what you do in...
Yeah, I would say, like, the majority of condensate pumps are like minus a few other brands, like they're going to be the ones you're going to see most.
Yeah.
And then in regards to like tooling, like again, like their flaring kit, like the people know out there, their flaring kit and their hydraulic benders, mate, they're just so good to use.
And
like
what was those lifts? What's the lifts?
Oh, so they're like they're like an electric lifter.
JVAC. Is that under the same banner as well?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's again part of, so basically you use all the products that they sponsor the show.
Like,
so
like the condensate pumps, the tools, and the chemicals as well. They're all under that sort of like Aspen thing. So. But
getting all them units up into,
it's tough on your own.
I've seen some videos, and it's like, how the hell are you getting that up there,
mate? Like the one I did one at Crystal Palace, and it was like 175 kilos this unit. Big twin fan, 28
Do you have to
kilowatt.
strip that down?
No.
How are you getting that up
mate,
then?
I just put it on a sack barrow, and I just walked it to where it had to be, and then get it on obviously the JVAC lifter, it couldn't take that amount of weight,
right.
So I had to get a higher lifter in, get that on the lifter, get it up, wiggle it off on the roof. Yeah, people are like, I get messages and people are like, mate, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Get an apprentice, and I'm like, I can't. And like, I'm not at that point.
Yeah.
But
there's a lot of graft here. So that was what I was getting at was, would you not rather just do the domestic stuff? Or is your heart in the big stuff?
I think people will take this the wrong way, but I think it's a fight to the bottom with the domestic stuff.
Really?
I really do, yeah. Just because, like, people will do it for hardly anything.
Or will they?
Yeah, because like I was saying to Martyn on the way here, is that, my standard of work, and I've had conversations with people and they say you need to drop your standards a little bit because like to make more money.
You don't hear a lot.
No, because you need to make more money, and I'm like, my standards will never drop.
Yeah,
I don't care. I don't care. I'd rather go out of business than have my standards drop. So I can change the quality of the equipment. So I will reduce the cost or raise the cost depending on what you want. But the standard of work will never change.
That's
it.
Set.
I'm not going to compromise on that.
Yeah.
It's black and white. Yeah, we had the conversation earlier about it, didn't we?
I'm not going to do it.
And even, no disrespect to you, but your work isn't on show. It's like with my game. A lot of it you don't see, but you still take pride in what you do.
Yeah.
Whereas you, Martyn, all your stuff's on show.
As soon as you walk into a bathroom, it's like, oh.
If someone's put a bathroom in and the silicon's shit, or it's smudged on, tiles that aren't
spread
flat,
a bit in a textured tile,
straight away that pulls your eye.
You're drawn to it. It's no different to. It's bad to say it, but I was always told if you do a house, if the front door and the window either side look amazing, you can do the rest of the house in a different colour. Nobody'd pay any attention.
Wow!
Because you can walk up and you walk in your front door of your
already
brand
got
spanking new house, and they're like, "Oh, it looks amazing, window either side." That's as far as people look, and the door, they don't. But if it's bad and you walk in and the front door's horrific, it looks like it's been put on from like the other end of the street. They look up and they go, "What about that window up there?"
Catapulted in.
Yeah. Then obviously they start to look. So mine's a very visual part of it, where
mine is you do put all your containment up, pipe work, cable, drainage, like units go up. All you see is that unit on the ceiling or on the wall. You don't see, the 80 metres of pipe work that you've just bent up and insulated and cable tied or fixed up or whatever you got to do.
And you use, just thinking, I was just thought then, you use big reels of coil of copper, don't you?
Yeah, so the majority I use 15 metre coils. You can get a 30 metre copper, but
so do you
they're
put
quite
all
hard
the
to handle.
bend? Do you put very rarely connect them? Is it all usually done in one?
Domestic stuff, a lot of people will just use them coils and do it in one run. So when you see the typical unit on the wall pops out and down, that's all in one piece. But where I do sort of, I would say commercial or light commercial, whatever you want to call it, a lot of that stuff is like, I'll go through, I don't know, sort of 100 metres, however long the unit.
How are you connecting them? Are you?
So I'm brazing those, swaging them and brazing them. Yeah. But yeah, in regards to the coils, you can go for 15 metres.
What are they, 12 mil?
It's all imperial.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so it's like quarter, half inch,
Yeah,
3/8. Goes all the way up to. I mean,
It's
I've gone
mad
up
how
to like
you boys work in imperial.
yeah,
Strange,
but then you
innit?
go to like your overflow, and then that can sometimes be metric or imperial, depending on like what brand you're getting and what. Yeah, it's all.
See, I do it.
Crazy.
I do it a lot when I'll measure things, and in my head I'll go, that's 1200. But then other things I'll measure in imperial.
See, that's
metric.
bad.
Yeah, I switch so much.
Mate, you know what's funny? Because my mum, she measures out blinds and she goes, "Oh yeah, it's probably about 4 foot," and I'm like, "What?
Yeah.
What is it in millimeters? I don't know."
Yeah, it's mad. I flick quite a lot between the two.
Yeah. So we have all of our pipeworks imperial. The rest pretty much is metric. Really. Yeah.
So, moving on to the social media sort of side of stuff. Me and you spoke a while back, Tom, probably a year ago, just on voicemails.
Yeah, probably about 8 months ago, wasn't
because obviously doing what we do on social media, and everyone we get in here, or 99% of people do social media. In fact, I think everyone has. We've never had anyone that doesn't, bar for different people. But yeah, you begin to rapport with people, and obviously, we've spoke, and you dropped me a message ages ago asking how you could help push your social media content. And I said to you, look, I'm by no means the master at it. I do what I do, and it's working for me. So I gave you a little bit of guidance on it.
Yeah.
And then obviously you do your social media, Martyn, to a degree, and we spoke off camera. I think there's a massive market ready for you to just go in and kill it with the YouTube stuff. But social media wise, how has that both worked for your both companies?
Yeah, go on.
Mine's just super raw.
That's what I wanted you to say. That's the answer I wanted.
It is as raw as it can be. And
so your Instagram, what's your Instagram handle?
so
We'll add it all in, but just
my personal one's Martyn Coops. My work.
if you want to see cars and dogs, that's
cars,
that one.
dogs, me moaning about life in general.
Yeah, that's quite a good one, actually.
Yeah, that's my personal. I think that's where a lot of people gravitate to. Even with work, I post a lot of day-to-day stuff on there. And then obviously I have Champion Sealant Services, which is my work one. But my TikTok platform was just, and again, Instagram, raw. My work Instagram's very professional. I've tried to film it by taking little bits from other people and be like, this is a cool angle, maybe some time-lapse stuff. Because again, being on a professional platform of Instagram, I kind of want, not market myself differently, but I wanted people to look at the work and be like, and again, back to that thing of people look at a lovely house and go, oh, we want this guy.
Yeah.
Where I have turned up on jobs and they've been like, oh yeah, we've seen your Instagram and it looks amazing. And then there's someone in the background going, I've seen your TikTok, don't film my bathroom. And I'm like, oh no, here we go.
But there is that divide between the two. Do you do TikTok as well, Tom?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So there's a massive divide. I've said it so many times this show. I don't like TikTok. I do it. I think it's a horrible platform.
I never wanted to get on it. It was lockdown.
Yeah.
And somebody on my Instagram, I can't remember, so like they'll probably shout at me. But I used to just, so the reason that it started was when I worked for the firm, all the girls in the office and the people in the office never really knew what happened on site. And obviously, as you know, that you've like done site work, you turn up, a job's not ready, it might not be clean, it might not have been fitted, might not have even been built. Like I've turned up to houses and they've gone like plot so-and-so and it's not even out the ground. So rather than, there was a lot of people that ring the girls up in the office and just tear them a new one. They have no idea. So I'd go, oh, I'm turned up to this job, it's not ready. And they'd go, oh, no problem, just head to another job. Then I'd whip out the old phone, Instagram, and I'd be like, right, guys, you want to see this like absolute shit show behind me? Yeah. And we'd have a bit of a laugh, and it was almost just like my little rant. I didn't want to like hassle girls.
It was all tongue in cheek.
Yeah, so like I used to post on there, and that was kind of like me, and people kind of had a laugh and had a good time out of my bad day.
Yeah.
Nice. And the people used to say it. They were like, oh, I've had a bit of a day, but I'll get home and I watch your stories. And
makes me feel better.
Yeah, it makes me feel better about everything.
Great.
And I'm like, I'm great. I love my miseries cheered you up. And then somebody said, you should post on TikTok. And I'm like, I want no part of TikTok. It's just full of like kids in their bedrooms dancing to Justin Bieber,
that's what it was,
lip-syncing badly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, although I'd be shit hot at it, no.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'd done a video and it was just me siliconing a floor, like just pretty much my arm, my gun on the floor. And it done really, really well.
Did it?
Like really, really well.
How long was it? Like
literally like 60-second video, all the way around the floor in one go, like a full kitchen diner. And it done really well. And he was like, oh, I've seen you on TikTok. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, it's not really what I was expecting. just be you. And I'm like, I don't think TikTok's really ready for.
TikTok's not ready for me.
Just
That is
just
that
really
is a
like.
statement, isn't
It
it?
is, isn't it?
But like everyone was on there just being all trying to get something out of it. Where
Dancing.
I'm just like, you know what? Like people just see the real side of
Yeah.
things. Like just be honest about it. So whatever I posted on my Instagram, I pretty much just copied, played around with it, posted it on TikTok.
Yeah.
And people just seem to love the bad work before and then kind of the finished product. And then I started doing a little bit of because people go, well, how did you do that? Or how do you cut your nozzle? Or why do you use a stick? What's in the spray bottle? So I've done a couple of videos of like helping them out with some of the tools, the very small amount of tools that I have.
Two sticks and
two
a
sticks and
bottle
some,
of soapy water.
hopes and dreams, and a £4 gun from like my local tool
Mate.
merchants. But people took an interest.
Yeah.
So I kind of like structured a little bit of my posts to that, and I'd post up some work and then be like, oh, this is how you do a stick. This is how you do a nozzle. If you do a nozzle this way and hold the gun here, you're going to get this out of it and it's not a good result. Because people wanted to do their own bathrooms, their own kitchens. Not everyone can afford a mastic man or someone like or a plumber or whatever to come out and do the work. People are happy to do the work themselves. So I just wanted to kind of like help with that. But then a lot of people jumped on and was like, oh, you're giving away valuable information. I'm like, mate, these are just sticks. They're not, I'm not a wizard.
Yeah. Not Harry Potter.
Yeah, I'm not Harry Potter. Like, I'm just helping people out.
Just giving a little bit of knowledge.
But like, I have no time to film things. If I go into a job and I'm like, I've got an idea in my head. If I film it and it works, I'll just whack it in the drafts folder, deal with it when I get home.
Yeah.
If I film it and I'm having a bad day or I'm not really feeling it, I'll just delete it, carry on my job, go home again.
They're the ones. A lot of the videos I've made that I've gone, that shit, I'm going to bin it off. And I've gone, I'll just put it out. They're the ones that fly. Because there's something in it, I think. There's something, that one that you've, not that one, but when you do one that you think is a bit shit, I think that's showing a little bit more of you. A bit more of rawness.
Do you think that comes down to your style, though? Like, for me, I think my style is more like how to, like, you know, I'll show people like pipe bending or flaring or like, you know, like that sort of thing of, you know, going through like, obviously, maybe not a voiceover, but like sort of going through service work and how I do things and deep cleans.
I love Tom's style of video,
but
I don't have that time to sit and...
But I always set it up for the business. I didn't set it up to get anything...
In return
personally. So, like, it would be more of a portfolio.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but it's just sort of turned into...
Oh, is that how you treated it? You treated it as like an online portfolio?
Kind of, yeah, because I wanted to... like, if you go online, and I'm not digging anyone out because they're all pretty good mates of mine, but a lot of AC profiles or, like, you know, pages on the internet... all it is just new AC units, one after the other.
Just putting them in, just the install.
Yeah, and I think like how I treated it was that if you're charging a lot of money for an AC, because AC's not, it's got cheaper, but it's not really cheap at the minute. I think I set it out to be like, right, I'm going to show what you pay for. So like, so basically like. You see, like what we said before, you see a white box on the wall, a white box outside with a bit of trunking.
Yeah.
But they don't see you coring through a 70mm hole through the wall. They don't see you like loading your van up at 5 a.m.
Slugging it upstairs on a sack
bar. They don't see you like trying to get it up on the roof.
Yeah.
You know, they don't see that. So that's how I treated it. Was like, I want to show you that the money I'm charging is valid for what my job is. So
take you through that process.
It's the process, man.
Take you through that process of the install as opposed to just bits.
And don't get me wrong, I don't like sort of go, oh, here's how you install an AC unit. That's not what I'm out there for. But it's more like, I would say, like a visual representation of a price.
Because of the way your content's made, it is very visual. I think because it's in like big stairwells and tower blocks, it looks.
It's on like commercial sites and
looks
everything's
like grimy, doesn't
like,
it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's all like dingy and dark and down alleyways.
Yeah.
And like tucked away.
And I think that just leads into it.
Yeah.
There's something about it. It's
yeah,
like
there's
a grungy
something about
like.
it. And it's sort of like, I think some of it is that, like, because it's quite, I don't want to say niche because there's loads of people doing aircon out there, But it's more the fact of like, you know, when you dismantle an AC unit and people are like, I have no idea what that does.
Yeah.
I can't even. You can see.
Is that you saying that, Tom?
So like when you see Martyn, you go, oh, like
you can see what he's doing.
You can see what he's doing,
yeah.
and you can relate to it because you've had that problem. But when you're looking at like, I don't know, you're doing loads of pipe work or trying to change a compressor or diagnosing units, people are like, I ain't got a clue what he's doing.
Yeah.
So
But it looks good.
Yeah,
It's nice to watch.
But is it in like? But what I'm saying is like, it kind of puts people off because they're like, because they don't know, they can't relate to it, or it's not like a bricklayer or, you know, like a massive man
it's
or
not simple, is it? It's like you say, it's not just laying a brick or putting a silicon in.
Yeah.
Or, it's
quite
involved.
Yeah, it's quite different.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've never thought about it.
But then with
like
that, do you get people that watch it? Like I watch Tom, so I have no idea.
But you-
I
but
watch
you-
Tom
but you're
stuff,
invested.
But I'm invested because I'm like, I kind of want to know what the thing is in the corner of that unit, or like how you've got from there to there. So I'll watch all of Tom's stuff, like because I'm like, it's just
Number one fan.
a number one fan.
Fanboy.
Yeah, 100%. But like I watch it and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. I have no idea. I wouldn't know where to start if he gave me an AC unit and go like, and I'd go, no, not a clue. I can put a bead on it and stick it to the wall, but that, do you know what I mean? But yeah, I like that, and I suppose you get a following for. Mine's a very mixed following, so I don't know whether yours would be that people that.
I think most of my following is other AC guys in the trade.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Like I think it's mostly other AC firms or other sort of facilities management, like that sort of role. I think.
What about like apprentice, like people just getting into it?
But again, like there's people in the trades, you know. So I think that's most of it. But like most of the guys that you know I'm friends with on Instagram or whatever, mate,
they already know what an AC
as
unit
well.
is, and they just.
I'm in a couple of group chats, and it's just like, mate, they're wicked people, man. So.
But even the way that you two film stuff is different. Like you give a very raw view of stuff. The way you film stuff is the shot angles are completely different.
Yeah, it's the perspective of things.
But there's a reason for that, and this harps back to how you two met, or did you meet this way,
Yeah,
or how
would
you
be.
two know each other from? What would it be? 20 years ago?
Yeah, probably about that time. I mean,
Okay, so the perspective of the shots. Now I've heard someone else, a very, very well-known YouTuber in the car world, Matt Armstrong. He's said again, which will touch on how you boys met. He said that he took a lot of inspiration for the way he filmed stuff from when he used to do BMXing, because he would film his BMX content. Would this be like 10, 15 years ago?
Yeah, probably.
He would film the BMX content to get brands, to showcase what he did to brands. Now, you two are in the BMX, or were or still are.
mate, it's, it's a life thing.
But you were massively involved with the BMX thing.
Yeah.
And like Martyn and you said, Tom, is you used to film stuff as well. Before filming stuff for social media was a thing, you was doing filming for social media.
But even before social media, it was like magazines or online videos or like dedicated websites for that.
So I can see that, the way that your stuff is shot and the rawness of it. The rawness, I hark back, the way that your stuff is very jackassy.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Again, they're very much from your scene, how they come about. And then the way you shoot stuff is very
More
visual.
perspective-wise, yeah.
But you've picked that up from
It probably
years
comes from
the BMXing.
an amount of riding. Like even when you're filming a trick or a spot, we were talking about it on the way here, like how you film a spot. Tom likes a photo of a spot because then you can visualize like where somebody's come in from, gonna exit from, the size of the gap, the jump, the handrail, whatever they might be doing. Where I like the clip, I like to see seeing how far someone's pedaling at a gap or a jump, where they're going to land, how badly they land or how well they land.
But that's the way you film, and Tom,
For me,
seeing the
I
in and out is the HVAC unit coming in and then going upstairs. It's all relevant.
But then if you watch his Instagram and the riding stuff that he posts on Instagram, it's very much like set back. The ramp
It's
will
very
be filmed.
similar. Yeah.
He'll come up, he'll do the trick on that ramp and then go back in the ramp, and then the camera's set up there, where a lot of my stuff is being followed. So I would line up a couple of obstacles, and then rather than have a camera set far back where you can film all of that, I would rather have someone pick each piece out and then even go back to film it as like a perspective from like zoomed out, and then something that I want to capture, then I'll redo that trick on that certain ramp.
Yeah.
So then just pop it in and clip it in that trick. But that kind of comes back from filming a lot of stuff myself when I was filming skate parks and demos and shows or whatever it might have been. Yeah, that was just kind of, I think I've just kind of carried it over into
you can see it a certain style to it. So how did you two meet then? Was it through the BMX?
So we used to we'd go skate to skate parks, and a lot of the time we'd meet at jams. So like jams is basically like all the BMXers from across the country would come to a skate park, and they would ride for a day or a weekend or things like that, and we just like bump into each other every now and again. But
so it's quite a tight circle, isn't it, of people you're always
It's a tight
mixing.
circle, but at the same time it's not, because everybody's so far away.
Yeah.
But then we ended up getting on the same distributor.
Riding for the same distributor.
So our friend James Hitchcock's, he was like the owner of a distributor. And we was on different companies, but under the same distributor, basically.
So that'd be like your sponsorship now.
Yeah.
To put it into terms of what us in the trades do with brand deals.
So it would
and
be a
sponsorship.
brand deal.
It would be a brand deal.
Yeah.
But we spoke about that outside. Now brand deals for what we do is like money here and this, that and the other. When you used to get given a cap or a hoodie or a set of grips or
we were
whatever,
stoked on like a set
So
of
that was
pedals.
massive.
Buzzing on a set of new grips for your bike or a
Yeah.
hoodie or a set of tyres.
Yeah.
Because when we were riding, that was money out of your pocket. Like if you had to buy a new frame, it could be anything from like 150 to 450 quid.
Yeah.
If a company was prepared to give you a frame just to ride and put a couple of clips up or maybe take some photos or some stuff, you were so stoked, and you would do everything for like, they were like, what do you need?
Yeah.
I'll have it done for you, no problem. And you'd go out of your way to go film over the weekend, get this bike built and just go do it.
But you've got to understand is that like it seems like really out there for the people, but you're putting really your life on the line to ride a BMX bike, and these companies are obviously getting film photo out of it, but you're risking everything you've got, your health.
300 quid frame.
For hardly anything. At the time, we did it out of passion. Like we loved it. So like for us, it wasn't a case of like we want to be paid. That was obviously like, way far in a distance for the professionals, but you think about it, you're risking your life for
I never took a wage with like my main, when I got a proper sponsor. So when James rang me up, I was like, I had a day off and my phone's ringing and it's just Hitchcock's on the phone. I'm like, just had a quick catch up. Again, just answered the phone thinking it was just going to be like we're jumping in the van and going to Scotland this weekend. We'll pick you up on the way, which is 9 times out of 10 most weekends.
Yep.
And he's like, this guy's just left this team called Mankind Bikes, and he's just like, there's a spot opened up. Do you want it? And I'm like, cool, yeah, no worries. What do I get? He's like, we get a bike out of it. And he's like, you can either have a wage or a travel budget. I didn't want a wage. Like, I worked, so like I had a wage coming in, so I was like, travel budget.
Right. But I suppose at the time that was a massive deal.
Huge
mate.
thing, like any contest, if I wanted to fly out, so they were a German-based company, so if I wanted to like go out there and ride any events or ride park, I'd just ring up and I'd be like, and the guy was like super sound as well. Just ring him up for a catch-up. But again, going to that thing of like not wanting stuff out of it, I rode for Mankind for like a good few years, probably about 7 or 8 years. And at one point, the owner rings me up and he's like, do you want a new bike? And I'm like, nah, this one's cool. And he's like, no, like, do you want a new bike? And I'm like, no, there's honestly nothing wrong with this. He's like, you're allowed like 2 frames and 2 sets of forks and bars and whatever a year. He's like, you've had 1 set of frame, bars and forks for like the last 4 years. We're going to send you a new bike.
Whereas this is completely different to the mentality that the influencer thing is at the minute. Not just within the trade, in everything. In the car scene, the construction scene, the biking scene, or whatever. It's very money driven now, isn't it?
Yeah,
But I think if you're putting that work in, you should get something out of it.
Yeah.
For example, Martyn got offered a travel budget or whatever it is. Like, I think if you put that work in, you should get something out of it. Whether or not you take that is another thing.
Yeah.
But it's up to you whether you want to whether you want to ask for it or whether you want to wait for it to be given to. It will come full circle.
Yeah, but how cool is that?
It's cool.
That's
isn't it?
cool.
But the opportunity it gives you, it does tie in with that trade thing, because like, we've both had opportunities to do stuff.
Yeah.
Like, whether or not you're busted, broken, whatever, you've had that opportunity to go out and do something. And I think it ties in with the trades as well. It's like, if you work hard,
Yeah.
You
The
can get these
opportunities will come.
opportunities,
Yeah.
and you need to take it with both hands because it ain't going to last forever.
Yeah. Well, it's like even coming here. Obviously, we touched on it. You working with Aspen with the pumps and that. You probably weren't aware that it was all sort of based from here.
Well, exactly.
So now you've got.
Yeah.
That, again, it's just opening
But again,
doors.
the opportunity to come here, it's like, mate, I'm going to take a day off work. Like, you know, I'm going to do whatever I can to better myself.
Yeah.
And like, you know, for example, the BMX thing is that, you know, I've been at a spot for like 4, 5, 6 hours, and I'm beaten, broken up. Like, but as soon as you get that thing at the end, that instant, like that thing that's like, you know, you land a trick or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Mate, it's worth it all day long.
Are you wasting time? I think that some of you probably are, and I have a solution for you. Nobody wants to do any type of admin. Now, I have a solution for you, and it is called Tradify. It's a fully automated job scheduling, invoicing, and quoting all in one place. Now, that software is going to save you 12 hours a week, and all by using a simple software solution. Now, you can try it for 2 weeks, absolutely free, no cards needed, and you'll even get support in person from Tradify themselves. Now, when you're done, you can always come back to me and thank me, but just enjoy the extra 12 hours that you're going to gain from just using the software.
It is all about opening doors. Now, you had a door open to you.
What's behind the cards?
Mary Poppins.
Yes.
So,
I was wondering whether he's going to bring this up.
So, Mary Poppins, the film.
The film.
You was in it.
Yep.
And this is
The
again
new one, not the old one, obviously.
Just aged really well. But yeah,
look for me in the old one.
That's doors opening up again, isn't it? It's working out what doors you can go through to allow you to sort of push what you do further down. So how did that come about then?
So basically, I got like a few of the boys, a mutual friend of ours, Isaac, like he was also on it as well, and we got just a phone call just saying, oh, like they need a few extras, and you need to be able to do this, that, come in for a trial run, like an audition. So then we'd all go there, like, and there was, I think on my day there was probably about 10, 11 people there, and then you go and do an audition and you get the yes or no, and got the yes. So all this time went by because like they're filming at this time, and then in the end it was like, oh right, okay, yeah, your day's like ready to go. Good wage, good money. It was all nights.
Right.
It was all nights, but it was like
nodding his head.
Like
very good money.
Yeah, they
it was
pay
good
well.
money.
Even
But the thing is that I was going and doing my 8 till 5.
Yeah.
And then I'd go home for 2 hours, then do another commute back up to London, ride all night.
So what did they want you to do then?
So
I'll be honest, I haven't watched Mary Poppins.
Have you not?
The original
It's one of my
one.
favourites. A lot.
Oh, the
So
original one's great.
what was it? What did you do?
So there is a scene where they're racing, like the old one, they're racing to like, I think the old one, they're racing to the bank or something.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to get there to a certain time. So the scene is Mary Poppins is trying to get to Big Ben to turn time back. And then
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, but that's like years ago. But then the equivalent to like the chimney sweeps, they're called Learys, and they was basically like helping Mary Poppins to get there. And there's like a scene in it where everyone's racing about, jumping, doing tricks. But mate, you know the whole of Pall Mall was shut
for filming.
for 2 days.
I thought it must be so cool to be on a film set.
Like Temple was like it's normally like busy cobble street. Mate, it was dead all night. They shut the place down. And to get the effect of it being wet and gloomy, like London gloomy, we'd done a test run and it was all dry, and we're fast, like jumping over stuff, and they're like, right, yeah, hose it down. Mate, they're hosing down all these cobble streets, and I'm like,
Nightmare.
Cobble streets, rubber tyres,
And
this
don't
is not
mix.
a good idea. And then, yeah, mate, it was such a good opportunity, man.
Did you
Couldn't
do
That's
pass it up.
cool.
Did you do the?
I hope when you've done it, I hope you signed up for, what is it, every time it gets shown, you get weighed in?
Oh, royalties.
Royalties.
Nah, I didn't get
Didn't
royalties.
get the option, you just got a
Nah.
big fucking check at the
Yeah,
start.
just got a nice little
That's
bit
not
at the
too
end.
bad. Did you do the Olympic ceremony? You
Yeah.
did, didn't you? That was another
So,
one.
so you done that?
Well, yeah,
cool.
no, because they cancelled it, didn't they?
Yeah, so
We've been
basically, oh mate, like I'll try and keep it brief. So again, James rang me, said, "Oh mate, like, I've got this thing for you. Can you go and do it?" Yeah. I can't tell you what it is. I can tell you where it is, but just be
I had
there.
the same phone call.
Yeah.
Right.
So we go there, Oh
Did you do it as well?
Yeah.
You on this as well?
Yeah, so basically, like, we get there, no one knows what's going on, and then it's a audition for the opening ceremony for the Olympics.
Which Olympics was this?
2012. London.
Oh, our one.
Our one, yeah.
Wow.
So, well, I mean, you must have been all right, but 10 minutes in, I snapped my chain, and they're like giving you all these tricks you got to do, and I'm like,
They were like, you've got to one after the other. Someone's got to do a backflip. Someone's got to do a 360. Someone's got to do a back. And it was, they just gave you like a whole rundown.
Yeah.
But we turned up they paid us for months to be there. Like,
and we'd go to the
change.
Olympics. Yeah, we go to the Olympic Stadium, and we're like, right, okay, you're going to practice. And it was just like
every week, like
every
every weekend,
2 weeks before.
Yeah.
Said, I ain't got enough time. Cut it out.
They cut it down and just put some like marching band in it.
Yeah,
Bin the lot.
Just bin the lot. So we had a big.
It was a big hoo-ha.
It was a big hoo-ha. So a friend of ours that like rang us to go down there, we had a big like, screw the Olympic meet up, and we all went to my friend's skate park and we just got drunk, watched the Olympics, just rode his skate park for the evening and just kind of like cussed it all under our breath.
Olympics is shit.
But yeah, literally 2 weeks before they were just like, you done.
Yeah. But you'd done months and months of training.
Driving down there after work and just going down there and doing
going
like
to do
evenings.
your job. Going to do this thing.
I had another lad that was coming down to me. We were getting in the car and then I was driving down, like riding till stupid o'clock at night, and then just get back in the car, driving home.
Then thinking we're going to be in it, and
like and like they gave tickets, and they even left the tickets. So like I remember my family going down and watching the
rehearsal,
the rehearsal and the ceremony.
So I've still got the rehearsal ticket at home.
But yeah, they were like, "Oh, you're not in it, but like if you want to just send your old Doris down there to go watch, you can do." So. But yeah, like,
crazy.
and
it just goes to show they've put, YouTube been wading for it. Everyone else,
there was
the amount of
30
money that
riders,
there's been wading for that for months and months to just be canned off.
But we'd done like they just pay to sit about. Like I've done stuff over the years, like the TV stuff as well.
Oh, what do you do?
It's this,
you buddy up to laptop or something, didn't you?
I done a laptop advert. I had to ride a fold-up bicycle down like a market street and hop over a basket of veg. Question of sport.
It's not quite Mary Poppins, mate.
I did question of sport, which was pretty fun. But like they just pay you.
Question of sport, is that still a thing?
I don't know.
They can that off now.
I don't know.
What do you do on that?
They did
like the guy that guess what he
captain's
does?
challenge.
Right.
No, they did the captain's challenge and put the captain on the bottom of they built a mini ramp in the studio. And me and a guy, Tom Justice, like we just rode around and they just had to answer as many questions in 60 seconds.
Just while you're riding
Yeah,
around.
Arnie went and smoked over the end of his shoe, didn't I? They were like, get close. He's like scared the shit out of him. And I'm like, okay, yeah, fair enough. But yeah, right. But you just pay to stand about in TV. And it's when I'd done the laptop advert, they gave me this like, well, snazzy, and I do not look good in a suit. I look like I was going to court. But they gave me a
Court or a
suit. And
funeral.
I'm like on the train with this fold-up bike that they just
Bet
gave
you
me.
looked a right knob.
And people were on the
Yeah.
train and they were like, oh, what do you do?
Commuter.
Yeah, they were like, oh, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I'm just down here working. Do you know what I mean? Big time banker.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, didn't want to tell the geezer I was just hopping over a vegetable cart in the middle of the street.
Oh, you can imagine him on the cheek. Yeah, we got some deals to get
But I
signed
done
off at the end of the
four
day.
days backwards and forwards to London. 3 of them were just going down there waiting for them to kind of like set up the street. And I've probably done 20 minutes riding and then just got on the train.
But
Went home.
think, man, look at the
And
opportunity
now
it
I
give you.
swear and slag people's bad work off on the internet. What a change.
But yeah, what a complete full circle.
Well,
but
this is it.
going from that, I mean, we've got to wrap it up now.
Yeah.
But I honestly think we could have just spent. I know Jack would have been like, yeah, we would have been here for hours.
Let's just keep
gassing.
going. We can just split it into 2 episodes, can't we?
Hey, I tell you what, if people want it, drop in the comments. We get you two back on to just talk full on.
Oh, we can do
stories.
just like stories.
There
Story
is
time.
so many stories.
Yeah, I know, because chatting.
You're looking at me. I'm like, I've got loads.
Chatting before we come on, you was like, we've got so many stories, and I was like, yeah, and then we've literally gone
It's
right.
the
We need
contests
to.
and all the other things that like we've travelled and done and like turning up to crazy countries where.
But if people want it, sorry
Yeah.
mate, if people want
Let's
it,
do round 2.
go in the comments. Let us know if you want Tom and Martyn to come back on with some full on BMX stories.
There is some
Yeah.
stuff that we can't talk about.
Yeah. No, that's what we. If you're only coming on if you do that.
Okay. Yeah.
So before we wrap it up, we always sort of give the floor to you two boys to sort of give a bit of advice, whether it be plugging your own socials or if you've got advice for people coming into a trade that is a fake trade,
Not a real trade, yeah.
or someone who wants to get into your industry, the HVAC industry. A bit of advice. So whatever you want to do, if you want to wrap it up like that.
I mean, I would say take every opportunity you can, because you never know where it's going to take you. And you know what? People might slag you off on the internet. People might say like, "Oh, what are you doing that for? Giving secrets away?" Or, you know, just go and do it.
Yeah.
You know, like it doesn't matter. It's words on the internet. So I think with that, and also work ethic, I don't think you should drop your standards.
100%, 100% with you on that.
I think you should get what you are worth. And then
Never cut corners on your ethics.
And this is it. It's just like, and the last thing I'll probably say is manners cost nothing. You know, I don't like people being mean to other people. Maybe when it's deserved, yes, but I'd say just manners cost nothing, and you'll get to where you want to be. You just got to keep going.
Yeah. Open them doors. Like you say, take you anywhere. Could be in the next Mary Poppins.
Yeah, this is it.
Never
but you know
know.
what?
You
Like
never know.
all those crashes on the bike, you know, you get something out of it at the end.
Yeah.
You know, just dust yourself off and keep going,
Yeah.
because it will work out.
Fair
It
shout.
just takes time.
About you, mate.
Listen in school if you don't want to become a mastic man. Do you know what I mean? Like pay attention in maths and English. No, like on all seriousness, be yourself. Not everyone's going to enjoy it. And again, take every opportunity. But if you are yourself, people buy into you.
Yeah, 100%.
And again, like manners, although there's a lot of laughs and jokes and comments that I post on my pages, when I turn up, I'm still professional. People are happy for me to do whatever I do, film there. What I do on there is still me. You just have to make sure it fits wherever you are working. But just be you. Like, there's a million people on there, and it's so easy to be on a platform where you can copy other people. But if you're true to yourself and you're filming for the things that you want to do, then do it. Don't film because you want to get a sponsor or you want to get something out of it. Like, I've only been filming because I wanted a Trade Legends hoodie. But
Yeah,
like,
you're still not coming out with one.
no, they're out of stock. But like, yeah, I think just film for you.
Yeah.
And
Be
if it
you,
works,
be real.
Yeah, if it works, like people buy into it, but people will watch it because they get a very good understanding of you as a person. Like I am on the internet as I am in person. And I think it's a good way to be.
Yeah. No, 100%. Boys, we could have sat here for hours.
Oh my God.
I think that's a good note to end on. I think.
Yeah, honestly, we
100%.
could have sat here for hours. I'm more than happy to do round two.
Oh, yeah.
All the stories. So
we haven't even covered half of it,
mate, I know. But yeah, like I said, get in the comments if you want us to get Tom and Marty back on. It'll be one of those carnage episodes.
Yeah.
But for now, boys, thanks for coming on. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Hope
Mate,
you've enjoyed
appreciate
it.
it, yeah.
We'll put all the
definitely.
links to your socials and everything down below.
Yeah.
But no, I appreciate that.